30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on what is kind of a cloudy, overcast Wednesday in Nashville. Look for some rain by sometime late tonight. But boy, the temperatures, we can handle this. We absolutely can. Let's check in up on the plateau. Say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
George, I'm doing great. How are you today in your free gift shirt again? How are you?
You really like that, don't you?
Yeah, Belmont. I know that one wasn't paid for.
No, you've saved this, haven't you?
No, I think I already mentioned it even before we went on the air. So I'm just repeating myself now.
But here's what's interesting.
What?
You coaches are the biggest freeloaders going when it comes to shirts. My God, I've never seen. You know who I threw that on at one point was Coach Newton. When he was the athletic director at Kentucky, he very proudly, one night when I walked in when I was doing Vandy games, let me know that media no longer got a free meal. And I told him, I said, listen, cast the first stone all you want, but understand that you are one of the biggest freeloaders going. You got more free stuff than anybody.
Well, and I would say never turned any of that into the IRS.
No.
Would you not say free shirts and cars would be?
Well, I used to get on him about dealer
free shirts
cars.
and free cars was our deal, I guess.
That's a story for a slow day.
I know the story.
Yeah, and it's a classic.
It's a classic.
It is a beauty.
On a slow Friday, you need to pop that one out at some point.
Of course, you're never on Fridays.
So. No, but I know the story, so I don't need to hear it. But it is a good story.
It is a great story. Billy, what do you got over there? How you doing?
Good, George. I'm looking forward to that on a Friday.
Oh, listen, it is an absolute beauty.
Oh, and look at Billy. Look at Billy. He's got a nice little shirt on there. It looks like one of those Nicholas shirts he's got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brought it out.
And he bought his shirt, George. I promise you, he bought that shirt.
Well, I don't doubt he did.
Or
he hadn't been in this business long enough to collect as many freebies as I have.
Oh,
George,
Lord, no.
You're making your freebie obvious with the Belmont marketing. I mean,
look, I just decided to wear it. And, you all just have to deal with it. Deal with it.
We are. I think we're dealing with it pretty good, Dave.
I can tell. Okay, let's get to the update. We've got two stories that we're going to get to, and we're really going to talk about the second one a lot.
Yep, we start with the Titans. They have officially released left tackle Taylor Lewan, wide receiver Robert Woods, and kicker Randy Bullock. And I saw this from Adam Schefter today, George. They started the day about $25 million over the cap, but after these moves, they're now about $4 million under the cap. So they made some headway today with Rand Carthon, but Randy Bullock was an interesting sort of ad there. I don't know that I expected that one. But
I guess what I would say is there are a lot of good field goal kickers. Not all of them employed right now. It's not like the quarterbacks where you're always looking, and there aren't enough for every team. Watson, there are enough kickers out there. You'll find.
Yeah, and I think they're spending some money on Randy. So I think this whole deal today is money. And I don't think they're through yet. I think there's some more. I think there's some more coming.
Don't think they can be.
Terry mentioned Bud Dupree and Zach Cunningham. That could be options down the road. So we'll keep track of that. George, I know you got to get to this one here with Nate Oates. He has issued another sort of a second apology. I know you talked about it yesterday.
Did that late last night, and I think it was vitally important that
the need for it. Here's what he said. He said, I thought it was important for me to clarify the unfortunate remarks I made earlier. This entire time, I've tried to be thoughtful in my words relative to this tragic incident, and my statements came across poorly. We were informed by law enforcement of other student athletes being in the vicinity, and law enforcement has repeatedly told us that no other student athletes were suspects. They were witnesses only. Our understanding is that they have all been fully truthful and cooperative. In no way did I intend to downplay the seriousness of this situation or the tragedy of that night. My prayers continue to go out to Jamea Harris's family.
Okay, Watson, I thought that what he did was critically important. Because as we left the air yesterday, there was nothing you could say other than this is not going to fly. And so good for him, or good for whoever at Alabama stepped up. The weird part, and you're the one that pointed this out, this was in a press conference setting.
Yeah.
Take that a little farther.
Well, I wouldn't have put him in that spot. I mean, really, there's no comment you can make unless you're suspending somebody or something, George, that the coach just, hey, we got to leave this to law enforcement. We're feel awful about the incident, whatever, but don't discuss the incident. And that's not fair to him. Professionals should have helped with that. And meaning his SID, his athletic director.
Yeah, ultimately it comes down to the athletic director having
yes, and all the way to sitting in a meeting with the president, and here's how we're going to handle this. And I personally thought they left him hanging out to dry, and the comments he made, didn't help Brandon Miller any either.
No,
he'd have been better off just not even bringing, just saying, look, we're going to deal with it as it comes here. And I think it would have been over with and done for the time being. It's going to come back up. I don't know when this goes to court.
Sure, I
don't know if somebody else does get charged. Just because somebody hadn't been charged yet doesn't mean they're not going to be. I don't know, but I think where it was at the point, I think they left him hanging out to dry, and then he hung out to dry. He didn't handle it well.
No, I'm going to bring up a couple of things here that I want your thoughts on.
Okay.
First of all, you've been an athletic director. You've also obviously been a coach, but some people may not know that you have twice been an athletic director, once at Rice, once at UAB. If you were the AD, would Brandon Miller be playing tonight?
I can't answer that, and I'm not dodging you because I just don't know enough about it. The little bit that I've said that has been thrown out there, I don't think there's enough to suspend him, but once you start talking about it, you make it worse. But I don't know. I cannot answer that, would not answer that because I just don't know enough. And I think a lot of it would be advice from lawyers from the university and advice for the people in charge, the detectives, George, knowing more about it and talking to different people through law enforcement. Say, okay, now what is the law here? Is he got any chance of being in any trouble? It's tough. If I'm Brandon Miller, it's killing me right now.
Oh my God. Can you imagine what
he's already hurting big time? Because by taking that car, if that's what he did, and again, we're speculating, but taking that car with a gun in it to the guy that pulled the trigger, somebody lost their life over doing that. And what he should have done, what I think we would have done if we had time to think about it, is say, I'm not doing this now. I'm not putting you in that spot, not putting somebody else in that spot. You need to calm down, get back here. We'll discuss whatever. So he's got to feel awful, George. He's got to feel awful. And that's just a little bit that maybe we do know, and that's speculation more, that there could be more to this. And we just got to watch it as it goes. But I can't comment on if I understand that. I just don't know enough to say that.
Okay. I'm going to throw this one out here. I kind of tossed this Ron Bargatze's way earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very serious issue. I'm guessing at some point in a room has been the president of the University of Alabama legal representation, the athletic director, Greg Byrne, the basketball coach, Nate Oates. Don't know if Brandon Miller has been in those meetings or not. But under the category of how do you make this any better for Miller, is it possible that the right thing to do is get him in a room, basically doing what I'm doing right now, staring into a camera and saying, hey, this is Brandon Miller, and I want to clear up some misconceptions and some things that have gone on here. Number one, I had no clue when I took the gun to wherever that this was going to happen. And had I known, it never would have happened.
But we don't know if that's true or not, George. We don't know if that's true.
No, we don't. But I mean, that's what the university, that's what they're paid to find out.
Yeah, but here's Brandon's side to take you two on with that is this is serious business.
Sure it is.
And there's a lawyer involved with Brandon. I promise you. He has a lawyer. He probably has a firm that's behind him. And I promise you those lawyers are not going to let him talk to the AD, to the president. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. The lawyer might be in that meeting, but they're just not going to dare let him go in there and might say something. That's why I say,
okay, that's a really good point.
We don't know near enough to be going that far to me.
So you would not, as a university, have him in a staged, nobody asks questions. It's just him saying, if you look at my track record, I've never been involved in anything, and I never will be.
I would not have him in that situation unless his lawyer was behind it.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the way I would. If the lawyer says yes, I think we're fine with this, I would do that. But it's all on his lawyer because we've got a young lady that lost her life, and that family's devastated, and all of her close friends and everything. But we've also got a guy that didn't pull the trigger that has been around this too now. And it's also changed his life. He's going to have thoughts in his head and heart, George, the rest of his life. So it's very serious business. And I just think that's what lawyers are for until all of this is, till the lawyer says do something. I don't think, if I was Brandon Miller's dad, I would tell Brandon, don't do anything your lawyer doesn't tell you to do.
Right. Here's something that went on less than an hour ago. ESPN did a long story on this. Mm-hmm. Lisa Salters, who I think is a very good reporter, was the person doing the interviewing, and they had the Tuscaloosa News reporter who was in the courtroom yesterday. Now, I will say this. I'm a fan of Lisa Salters, but I thought she asked one of the dumbest questions I've heard, which was essentially to the reporter, so is this over for the university? Well, any moron knows, hell no, it's not over. This is going to hang on this basketball program as they attempt not only to finish the regular season, go to the SEC tournament in Nashville, probably be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. This is going to be the storm cloud underneath them no matter what.
If anything, that dark cloud just started forming on this. I mean, I didn't think that question was very good either.
Well, but both of you are right. There's a dark cloud the minute that trigger was pulled, and it's going to be there not just through this tournament, but for a long time, guys. This is an ugly deal for everybody involved. The guy that pulled the trigger, the lady that lost her life, the players that were around it. This is tough on everybody, and nothing good's coming from this, and it's not near over yet. It's going to really it's really going to blow up when this thing gets time for court, or if they were to charge another player or something. But it's not anywhere close to over. And if the university knows better than that, I promise you they do.
And George, I thought Tony put it really well yesterday, saying, is this worth it? Like, if you're an Alabama fan, is this really what you would do? Or, you're the coach or the president to win a title?
I hate this for them.
But guys, let's don't take shots at him not being suspended. We just don't know enough.
Sure.
I don't. What are you suspending him on? You got to know more before you suspend him. And if you're more,
absolutely right.
If they know more, George, and they know what's going to come down, and then they haven't suspended him, and they know it won't come down till after the tournament's over, now that's a bad deal.
Yeah.
That's a bad deal. That's not right. But if you don't know, and everything law enforcement is telling you right now is this, it's hard to make a decision till you know the facts. And most times you make a decision before you know the facts, you're going to be wrong.
We'll re-pick this up later because it's obvious a bunch of you want to talk about it. After the break, we're going to meet up with...
Real quick, though, George, the Titans, Tom Pelissero just reported on Twitter that the Titans are also releasing linebackers at Cunningham.
Yeah.
So
Terry's almost 100% right now.
Yeah.
He's had it down pretty good. After the break, we're going to meet the new president of the Music City Grand Prix, Jason Rittenberry. Got a really interesting background that not only is in sports, but very heavily in music. Looking forward to meeting him. He will join us after the break. Do not go away.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. We are back. Having grown up here, I'll just say on the front end, I never dreamed back when I was in my 20s that we would ever become the sports city that we have become. In the last 5 to 10 years, the growth has been out of sight. Phenomenal. One of the most recent new additions to our sports landscape that people have really gotten into is the Music City Grand Prix. And so when my friend Kim Detweiler called me last week and said, I want you to interview the new president, Jason Rittenberry, I jumped at it. Wanted to have him on, so let's welcome him in here. Jason, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Next year, I want you as a celebrity bowler.
I don't know about that. my son's the bowler, but I can probably come hang out with you for some bowling.
Yeah, well, we take sons and wives, Jason.
Okay. So. Well, if you need a bowler, I will bring my son. He is
George knows my wife bowls for me, so you're in good shape. Don't worry about it.
Then I will bring him. He is actually on the Brentwood High School bowling team. So
wow! So we've got a dead ringer here, Watson.
You just moved way up the ladder, bud. You're going to be wanted on teams. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Hey, Jason. Before we really get started, share with people what is an incredibly interesting resume on your end that's not only sports, but a lot of music as well.
It is, yeah. This is year 23 in sports for me. So been in motorsports most of my career, started in the early days. I was a very young 25-year-old general manager of a NASCAR track, which, again, that's a whole story in itself of how I
bet it is.
But I made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot along the way, and moved my way up. Actually spent 11 years with that company, so it worked out well for both of us. With Dover Motorsports, I ran the Memphis Motorsports Park, the NASCAR track there for 11 years. Moved on from there down to Palm Beach, Florida, where I was a CEO for a public company. We owned about 11 different companies around the country. Sold that off to private equity, moved out to Austin, Texas, and really that's where music picked up. I was running the Formula One track, Circuit of the Americas, with the U.S. Grand Prix and Formula One, but we also had an amphitheater on site that we hosted about 50 concerts a year. So between music and motorsports, that was most of my background when I moved back here to Nashville, which is home. I was born and raised here in Clarksville, so local boy. I tell everybody I had Opryland season tickets. So if you had Opryland season tickets, you're local.
Oh, you're absolutely local. So isn't it amazing how much sports and music in our city have combined to pull off some great events?
Absolutely. And ours is no exception to that. We feel like, and we advertise it as a 3-day motorsports and music festival. And beginning in year one, we've had phenomenal concerts each night. And that's continued into year two. And again, we'll continue into this, our 3rd annual event of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix here in Nashville. But, people come to Nashville for sporting events and they expect music, even though we have Broadway, which is, arguably one of the largest, if not the largest party every night of the week in the country, with plenty of music to hear. They still expect it to be at your event. And so we've been able to do that, and we'll continue to do that and have multiple stages throughout the grounds of the Grand Prix, and music day in and throughout the day, and each night at the end of the day.
So in the first 2 years, it's gotten a lot of people's attention. You've gotten great feedback from locals, a lot of whom probably had no clue what they were really getting into when they made the decision to attend. But I'm kind of curious, where are all these people coming from? Are there, is it Massachusetts? Is it Oregon? Is it where are people coming to see this here?
Well, the first year we had ticket buyers that attended from 48 of the 50 states. And so they were from all over the country. It was the inaugural year, and folks were really excited about it and really excited about a new event, and obviously wanted to come to Nashville. So year two, we were about 37 states year two. So still from all over the country. But 60% of the people are within a 5-hour drive of Nashville. So local through Indianapolis, Atlanta, those areas. But we have a large contingent from California as well, obviously with the motorsports ties there. But people do. Honestly, they come from all over the country and internationally for this event here in Nashville.
Kind of tell people who have never attended one of these before what the actual event is like. Now, it's 3 days of stuff, August the 4th through the 6th, but the big race on Sunday, talk to people a little bit about what they can expect when they go.
Yes, so it is a 3-day event, and there is racing on track every day. We have 6 racing series that race, so there's tons of racing, tons of on-track excitement. We have obviously the IndyCar, which are the stars of the show. We have the Indy Next series, which For those that don't know or may not be familiar with motorsports, that's the developmental series for IndyCar. So those are the guys that are trying to make their way to IndyCar to the top level. We have 2 sports car racing series. We have GT America, which they race the exotics. So they're racing Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Aston Martins, all of those exotic cars. And then we have the Trans Am Racing Series, which are all American muscle. They race Chevy, Dodge, and Ford. And then this year we have added a new series, the GR Cup, which is a new Toyota spec car series to the lineup, as well as the fan favorite, the Stadium Super Trucks. That's the ones that, I swear we get more comments about the Stadium Super Trucks than we do the Indy cars. But the fans love those trucks. They're jumping ramps and they're flying through the air and they're driving on 2 wheels, and it's very exciting. So Friday is mostly practice and qualifying for all the series on track throughout the day. And then Saturday is kind of a long day. We're on track from 9 in the morning until this year we've added a night race. So that's one of the new things for 2023 that we're excited about, is we're racing under the lights on the streets of Nashville, across the Korean Veterans Bridge after dark. So that race will start at 8 p.m. So we'll be about 8:45 finishing up on Saturday night. So it's a full day of racing and music. We have our Cumberland stage, which is in our fan zone. It's got music all day throughout the day. About every hour, we're changing out with new up-and-coming artists on that stage. We'll have a headline concert about 6, and then close out the day with the GT America Series racing under the lights. And then Sunday on the race day, that's the big race day. That's when all the diehard race fans are out. That's when IndyCar, the NTT IndyCar Series takes the stage. We're live on NBC worldwide and internationally. And so that's the big day. It's the exciting day. But this year we've actually made some changes to the schedule for race day this year as well. Another one of the big things we're excited about for 2023 is the start of that race time. We've listened to our fans the first 2 years. The race time has been at 2:30 or 3:30 in the afternoon, in the absolute hottest part of the day, in the heat of the day with the sun directly above. So we've managed to get that race day started a little earlier this year. So we're going to go green at 11:30 live on NBC. And so there'll be still 4 races after the IndyCar race finishes on Sunday. There'll still be 4 races throughout the day. So for those that didn't get enough racing, they can stay until 4:45. We'll be on track. And then we'll wrap up the day on Sunday with the trucks, as we have the first 2 years, and ending the day with the super trucks. So something for everybody here. We have kid zones. We have fan activation areas. Tons of food, all the local food vendors, all the food trucks that everyone's used to in Nashville, and really popular in the area. So a little bit of everything, something for everybody on those 3 days.
Billy, if you will, put that picture back up of the track as they're going by Nissan Stadium. And there's another one there. That one, absolutely. Jason, when you go into a market for the first time, is there a moment where you end up saying, dadgum, this is going to work?
Absolutely. And that moment for us was probably about the time this photo was taken, right here on Sunday of year 1, the inaugural year, when we had every grandstand that we could possibly build, packed to the gills, complete capacity, every standing room area on the facility, and an amazing Grand Ole Opry show ready to take the stage as soon as this race ended. That was the moment when our team stood back in year 1 and said, we've created something special here. This is not just a race. This is an event, which was our goal we set out to do. Anybody can host a race, and I've done that for 23 years now. I've hosted races, but really to host an event and to put on everything that we've done here is something special. And we couldn't do it without the partners we have, without the city on board, without the Titans on board, and all of our partners, especially our title sponsor, a Big Machine.
Watson, say hello to Jason.
Jason, congratulations, and thanks for coming on. My first question, me sitting here in common sense way, is this seems different to me in that somebody could come to this and not know if they even like racing or not. But yet all the festivities you have around it would be just in itself a blast. And so to me, this is a neat way to grab more racing fans is they just come to be in Nashville and see everything, be a part of everything they're doing. But then they sit and watch the race. Say, man, this is pretty neat. Am I off my rocker, or is that a little bit of the thought process in putting this together? And I've been off my rocker before.
Yeah, Jason, I was going to say, I'll give you $1 if you say, look, you're kind of off your rocker.
Well, I wish I could take the $1, but no, he's right. That was actually absolutely our thought process going into this event. We wanted to do two things. We wanted to put on an amazing race that diehard race fans would love and would love to come back to year after year after year. And we feel like we've done that. So depending on which race fans you talk to, some think it's the greatest thing in the world, and we have excitement and exciting turns. And then some you talk to think it's a crash fest and we have too many yellow flags. So it's a little bit of both, but also it depends on which series you're talking about. People talk about those Indy cars and how much they're crashing. Well, my response to that is we have 5 other race series that manage to race it around the track. So is it our track or is it the drivers? They don't care for that too much, but yeah, they know I'm joking. It is an exciting race, but you're absolutely right. We wanted to attract the diehard race fans, but we also wanted to attract those that visit Nashville, the people that come to Nashville for fun, for excitement, for Broadway, for all the things that Music City has to offer. They're here for a good time, and we want to provide them a good time at our event. And that's what we've done with adding all the music and all the other ancillary events. And so you can, we were absolutely after that younger demographic, the millennial experience seeker that wants to go to any event in Nashville, regardless what it is. If it's a Titans game or a Preds game, CMA Fest, or a beer fest at the baseball stadium, we wanted the Music City Grand Prix to be a part of that and be one of those can't miss events in the city. And that's really been our goal from day one. I feel like we've done a good job of that, and we're continuing to do that. This year, we've listened to our fans more than ever. And tried to make the changes and adjust the event, adjust the schedule, adjust the amenities that we're providing for the fans based on the feedback we received the last 2 years.
When you've got all of the different music things that you're having and stuff like that, is all of this within the track?
It's all within our footprint. So It's adjacent to the track. We have all of the Nissan Stadium property. So every inch of Nissan Stadium property and all of their parking lots and all of the areas is all within our ticketed footprint. Actually, as soon as you come over the pedestrian bridge for downtown, before you even get onto the stadium property, you're within our footprint. So yes, everything is within a ticketed footprint, either in the stadium, in the parking lots, A, B, C, D out front, or in lot R, the large ones right under the pedestrian bridge. That's where all of our music and fan zone and stages and all those things take place.
The other thing to me, Jason, this is the 3rd year. Are you really starting to attract the big time cars and in Indy? Are you really starting to attract that now, or is it growing as the different groups coming to race in this, love it and coming back? Is that the way this is working?
Yeah, so with IndyCar, there's a group of cars that run every race of the series for the full season for points. Okay. And that's typically around 23, 24 cars. And we obviously will have those. Every race in the series will have those. But the more popular events, such as the Indy 500, the Long Beach Grand Prix, and our event, we typically have cars that attempt to make our event as one-off races. They're not running the full season, but they want to come run those events. And we're one of those events. So we've had 27 cars, which is the second most on the circuit behind the Indy 500 for the first 2 years. And we anticipate 27 or possibly even 28 this year. So a lot of those part-time teams or the teams that may want to add a second car or run a second car. And really a lot of that has to do with the popularity of the event, with the TV ratings. Year one, we had the most watched cable television IndyCar race in the history of IndyCar. So wow. TV ratings help with that. Year two, we moved to network, so it was again phenomenal ratings. But year one was amazing just because we actually fell on the closing day of the Summer Olympics, so we couldn't be on network. We had to be on cable, so we were on NBC Sports. But being the most watched IndyCar race on cable television in history was really phenomenal for us in our first year inaugural event. So a lot of those teams that have sponsors that want additional exposure. And being in Nashville helps as well. All the sponsors want to entertain either their employees, their clients, customers, whatever. They bring a lot of them to Nashville. So being a great host city actually helps us with bringing some of those additional teams here to Nashville.
Last thing, George, I got is, Jason, talk quickly about, to me, the hardest thing looking at this would be putting the track together on exactly wide enough, a good track pavement wise, protection for the people sitting in the stands, all the things, curves not too sharp to where you create problems with that. That to me had to have been hard, but after you get it in place, really it's there, right? And then all you do is improve upon it.
Yeah. So year one, we had the world-renowned track designer, Tony Kottman, who designs most every IndyCar circuit. He was our track designer, and we went through multiple designs before we got one that IndyCar approved and liked. And so once we got that design, we've stuck to it. We've made a little changes for year two, and we're going to tweak it a little bit for year three as the drivers make comments and lobby to IndyCar to get things done. But that absolutely, designing the track is not really the most difficult part, but building the track is absolutely difficult. So yeah, we're only one of 5 circuits that race on city streets, and we have to build everything temporary. So those other 17 race circuits that operate year round and have a permanent facility, it's a lot easier for them. They open up their doors and roll the trucks in, and the grandstands are already in place, and we have none of that. We build the actual track itself, which takes about 2.5 weeks. We do that ourselves with our own staff, and we own all that infrastructure. So the actual concrete blocks and the fence that keep the cars in the race course, we own all of that. We made that large capital investment year one. The pedestrian bridges that cross the track for the fans to get in and out of the infield and to cross some of the streets, we own all of that. So it's quite an undertaking. It's about a 30-day period for load in and about 3 weeks for load out to get all this in. From building the racetrack itself, we have to build all the grandstands. We built 21,000 seats, temporary grandstands, about 45 temporary suites throughout the facility, and a large, a significant club that holds about 2,500 people for one of our largest premium club. That's about a 30-day build alone by itself, because it's a massive structure. So to design the course wasn't as difficult. We trusted in the professional and Tony Kottman to be able to do that and design it. But to actually get it all built in the time period we have, and in between concerts, Nissan Stadium's a busy place. There's lots of concerts on the weekends leading up to our event and a concert the week after. So we have to get in and out very quickly and work around their other event schedules. So that's absolutely the most challenging part to the event.
This has been awesome. You have given us some great info that a lot of people probably would have no idea of. All I ask is, promise me that you'll come back on early in the summer as we start to gear up for all of this.
Absolutely. Be happy to come back anytime you would like.
Jason, thank you. And tell your son to bring his own bowling ball.
That's exactly right.
He's got 4 or 5 of them. We got plenty.
I love it. I love it. Jason, thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Y'all have a great day.
Jason Rittenberry is the new president of the Music City Grand Prix. Really appreciate him taking the time. As I mentioned, he gave us some great info on how this whole thing gets set up. We'll come back with more. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Alabama basketball situation that they are dealing with. So stick around. This is the George Plaster Show. We are excited to announce that the Music City Saints baseball program will host a spring golf scramble for their Baseball with Buds scholarship program. This program is in memory of a program supporter who passed away last summer. The scholarship program ensures every kid with the ability and drive for the game of baseball gets caught up due to the cost of competitive summer baseball. Tee-off is at 8 a.m. on Saturday, March the 18th at Ted Rhodes Golf Course in Nashville. The scramble will include 18 holes of golf with a cart provided and unlimited food and drink. Registration for each 4-person team is $400. That includes drinks during the event. They will also be providing lunch for each team. They're limited to 25 teams, so sign up soon. If you can't field a full team, individual registration works also. Finally, if you're unable to take part in the golf scramble on Saturday, March the 18th, but you'd like to support the Music City Saints, you can help their program with a one-time donation. If you have or know of any businesses that would like to become sponsors of Music City Saints baseball, feel free to contact Chan with any questions or to register. The phone number is area code 270-300-4155, or you can go to musiccitybaseball24@gmail.com. I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Late word out of Baltimore. Looks like the Ravens are about to hire former Western Kentucky football coach Willie Taggart to be a part of their staff. That just got out a few minutes ago.
Good for him.
Yeah, very much so. Watson, I want to go back to the Alabama thing for a minute because I want to be able to pick your brain. This is what has gone on is a really rough situation, and I believe it's going to get harder as their profile when they get in the SEC tournament and likely a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They're going to come under a lot of scrutiny. Now, you've dealt with a lot of coaching stuff. If you're Nate Oates, what is it you believe he needs to be telling his team right now when it comes to this whole mess?
I would be telling my team, I'd first talk to the individuals involved deeply and try to find out more, give them advice on getting help, being protected with lawyers, whatever. But I would tell my team that if you've got any form of involvement in this, make sure you're protected legally. And you need to take care of yourself in a legal way. And always be honest, and whatever, if somebody comes to talk to you, be honest with them and tell the truth. But if you're seriously involved in some way, make sure you have lawyers. Then I would tell my team, look, these things are on the outside that there's no way we don't deal with. We have to deal with this, and all of you have to deal with it in different ways. Here to try to help you deal with that any way we can. But when we hit the basketball court, it's got to be basketball. And you've got to get your thoughts and your mind in the right place. And these kind of things will mature you, George, and you through experience of these kind of situations and as kids. And you have to learn that handle this when it's time to handle this when it's time to handle that. Those are the type of things I think Coach Oates would be saying to his players right now. But the first thing off the basketball court, he should be telling everybody, if you are involved, always tell the truth, be available, and make sure you're taking care of yourself in a legal way as far as lawyers or whatever is concerned.
Okay, I'm going to give you what I think is the practical scenario tonight. Okay, they're at South Carolina. They're about a 17.5-point favorite. South Carolina is god-awful. And so the likelihood is that Alabama is going to win. And after that game's over, most of the time, the way it works now, especially post-COVID, is there'll be a room where the head coach will speak and a couple of players will speak. And, that normally they, what was the turning point in the game? This run you went on. Well, damn good and well tonight, they're not hearing any of that. You know exactly what they're hearing. So the problem is, I think they're going to be hearing this for the next month and a half or however long their season, goes on, if they're able to do well in the NCAA tournament. Oates has got to, it seems, have them prepared for this onslaught.
Sure, absolutely. And it's not going away. And, who's preparing the kids on what questions you're going to be asked or whatever. I mean, because you don't want your players just to get blindsided. So I'd like to think there's some professional help with them, but I don't know. I think the key here is, let's take Brandon Miller. I would think that his lawyers are going to not let him speak on anything about that. That I would be surprised if he legally is let loose to where he can say what he wants to say, George. I've heard no comment from Brandon at all. Have you? I haven't seen any statement from Brandon Miller at all.
Billy,
am I right about that?
You've watched this. You haven't seen anything either.
No, okay. He hasn't commented.
So the from here on in, I would assume what you're saying is you can forget seeing him at a podium, because
I don't know that you can do that.
Happen.
I don't know that you can do that. But when he gets to that podium, George, you get into the NCAA tournament, they're going to say, we want him and we want him. And now Coach Oates may say, advice of lawyers, he can't comment on any of this stuff. And that may be the way I don't think they can keep him from having to go to the podium, but I think that he may be told to say any question about this. I'd love to speak about it. I can't. My lawyers just, I cannot in a legal way speak about this right now. That's what I think will go down. And again, I'm speaking out of not knowing near what all went with this, but
then that puts the burden on the other kids who are going to get bombarded.
Well, they may, if they were around this and knew something about it, George, they may have lawyers.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, no matter who the 2 or 3 players are that they bring for the media to talk, they're not going to be asking about, the critical point of the game. They're going to ask, how's the team react? I mean, it's a tough, really awful situation.
Oh, big time. And I think early it will be that way, and then it may die a little bit in ways of it back off a little bit. Then when you hit that NCAA tournament, you got national media there, George. So they're going to deal with this every game. They're going to deal with every game. That's going to be a good bit of the questions. And if they even know that, quote, one of the players of Brandon Miller's says, I cannot comment on, my lawyers tell me I just cannot, they're still going to ask it. Believe me, that's not going to get them. And Coach Oates has opened it up because he talked about it in a press conference. And so he's going to get it every week. And it's going to be interesting to see if if he now muzzles himself or if he keeps taking questions about it. It's going to be real interesting to see.
Billy, you may know better than I do. What went out yesterday, I thought going in was a statement. Turns out it was part of a press conference. Was it a weekly Alabama press conference, or was it we're going to talk about this issue? What was it?
It was the press conference. They have press conferences before games like football. I think it was the South Carolina press conference. And I think he had just realized this had come out. The news had broke and somebody asked about it. And he was caught off guard.
Watson, you said it yesterday, and this is where your experience in athletic administration is so good for this show. There's no way on God's earth I would have let that happen.
I was shocked when you guys told me that. Understood it a little better when I found out it was a press conference. And he got caught with a quick question and didn't handle it very good. But professionally, he should have been prepared for that press conference better, because he had to know it's coming. Meaning his SID and his AD and his president had sit with him and said, okay, now here's the way you need to handle it. This is what we're going to all say together, because AD's going to be asked too. He's going to be asked questions.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't doubt the president, the further they go in that tournament, they may want to interview the president about all of this.
Yeah, suddenly the A-Day spring game
doesn't matter anymore.
It might take a little backstage.
Watson,
well, and does anything civilly come from this against the university? You can't forget that piece. I don't know exactly where it happened. Was it on campus? Could he have the gun on? I don't know. But
I don't know.
Always got to wonder if the university isn't going to have to deal with something civilly through all of this too, George. So it gets a little bit of everybody. I'm telling you, it's not pretty, and it doesn't go away when you want it to go away. It just don't do it. It's going to be there for a long while. I'm going to say all the way through the trial that it's going to be there, all the way through the trial. I don't know when that trial date's going to be, but I think you're going to deal with it right through the trial. And the trial may bring out some more stuff. There may be a lot more that we don't know that all of a sudden shows.
Yeah.
If there's more to this than we know, and Coach Oates and the University of Alabama people do know, and they're trying to keep that quiet through the tournament because they know it won't come out till the trial, now that's bad. That's real bad. So it's going to be interesting for us all to watch and just see, George, as it goes, what comes out from all this. Because I promise you, we don't know 1/3 of what's gone down. I'll bet you there's a lot more to this than we know, good or bad. I don't know.
You mentioned SIDs, Watson, going back to Oates and, preparing for press conferences. You've dealt with them. I know you have. And how does that conversation go before a presser? Does the SID, is that an every time occurrence where before every presser, hey, here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
Here's, and does the coach always listen to them? I mean, how do those?
That's up to the coach. Your SID is very important to me, Billy, on stuff like, well, even after game. Here's what I'm hearing. Here's questions you may get. Just want you to know that. Decide how you're going to handle it. But the SIDs always have tried everywhere I've been, head coach or coordinator, whatever. They've always tried to prepare you for what you're walking into. George can tell you that. Absolutely. That's really their jobs. Get the feel of what's going on the outside and kind of prepare you before you walk in there, good or bad. So, or there might be news that's come out the coach don't know. Right. That the SID can say, hey, man, this just went down up the street at our rival school. You need to be prepared for this because you're going to get asked about it.
Here's a perfect example, Billy. In the tournament, when they get to the NCAA tournament, or perhaps the SEC tournament here, the SID may figure out that there's a reporter from the New York Times. Okay, the truth of it is the New York Times doesn't give a damn about the SEC tournament. They've got somebody here ready and raring to go, and the SID says, listen, Martha Jones from New York Times is here. You better be ready because this is probably not about your point guard.
Right. So it's not necessarily telling a coach what to do or say. It's getting them prepared.
It can be a little bit of all of the above.
Could be a little bit of all the above. Most of the time, they don't try to tell you unless they're asked. If the head coach asks, "Hey, what do you think?
Right.
How do you think I should handle this?" But something this big, it's not just the SID, Billy. You got to get all the way to the president, through the AD, SID, through the AD, through the president. Lord, it might even get to a couple of board members. I mean, seriously, stuff like this is really serious, and it's really non-athletic oriented. And so there's a lot of heads, if they're smart, and I promise you they are at the University of Alabama. There's been a lot of heads involved in this, probably more after Coach Oates made the comments he made. I'd say there was a pretty quick meeting after that.
Oh, yeah. Because if a goofball like me could figure out, having heard the quotes for the first time and look into a camera and go, that ain't going to fly. A lot smarter people in Tuscaloosa were going, oh, Lord. Anyway, I know we got to go to the break. Stat of the day is coming up, and then Mark McGee to talk Nashville Predators hockey. So stick around. We've got plenty more coming.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the first hour here on the George Plaster Show on a Wednesday afternoon. We got Mark McGee talking Preds coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. You can find them at 204 East Depot Street, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5. Also, Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what we got today for stat of the day. This is going to be a good one. I got a feeling. It is involving the NFL and Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes ranks 8th all-time in Super Bowl passing yards. Can you name the 7 quarterbacks in front of him?
Oh, good Lord.
Dang, how do you say that one's good? This could take the whole day.
A lot of debate.
Well, we know Brady, so put Brady on there.
Brady's in there. I would assume that Jim Kelly has to be there. Joe Montana has to be there.
What about Troy Aikman? How many times did they go? Twice?
Troy Aikman was in there 3 times. I would.
How many? John Elway?
Elway played in 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But is that right?
Yeah, he played in
2 or 3, and he had a monster game in the win. No,
he played
he
in
was
3.
more. Elway's absolutely there.
He lost big time in one of them. They got embarrassed against somebody. I remember that.
Okay, so we've got 5 here already.
Okay, name them.
Okay. Tom Brady. Bingo.
He's in it.
Jim Kelly.
No.
Are you kidding? Played in 4 Super Bowls. No wonder they didn't win. Joe Montana.
Yes.
God, I would hope so. This is marginal because they ran the ball so effectively. Troy Aikman.
No.
Not in there. Elway.
Yes.
Elway's in there. Okay, so we got.
How many we got?
Well, we got 3. You know what? Let's throw this on Gee. What do you say? Gee, have you heard the question? Who?
He said Bart Starr.
I'm guessing he's not there. What happened to your little gong?
I'm laying off a little bit.
Are you trying to be a little nice?
Did they throw enough guys back for Bart Starr, Fran Tarkington? Both of those were in a bunch of Super Bowls.
No, Tarkington was only in
2,
1 or 2.
Yeah.
What about Joe Cap Super Bowl, and then when they beat Bradshaw's got to be there.
Boom, he is.
Yeah.
Unitas?
He was only in 1. Yeah, go ahead and gong him. It'll make him feel like he's part of the show.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so we have Brady.
Yep.
Montana.
Yep.
Elway.
Yep.
Bradshaw.
Yep.
That's 4 of the 7.
That's a pretty good job so far.
Steve Young. Yeah, same to you.
Is there a Packer in it, Billy?
No.
Okay.
You're missing one that I feel like
obvious.
Goes under the rug a lot.
Would Mark Rippon be there?
No.
Doug Williams? No.
No. Played against the Titans.
Okay, go ahead and give us.
Okay, here's
here's
your list. And I'm my mistake. Jim Kelly was in this.
Watson.
That is my mistake.
Oh, Watson, we cannot have that. We've been led astray.
And
Had
Peyton
we gotten Jim Kelly, we'd have gotten all of them.
How many was Peyton in?
Peyton was in 2, but he played.
And he had monster numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kurt Warner's the one that I feel like everybody always forgets. He's right behind Brady.
Warner threw for 1,000,000 yards in those games.
We did pretty good, though.
So
we didn't do bad.
Is that 5 of the 7?
Yeah. 70%, 71%. Gee, what do you think?
C average. That's pretty good.
Oh, listen, there've been a lot of classes that I'd have given anything to have a C. It's called summer school.
Definitely.
So, are we now officially into the 3:00 hour?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and we are officially talking Predator hockey with Mark McGee, who joins us for his weekly visit. Gee, let's first off look at the standings and see what's what.
Not good.
No, it's not pretty. Seattle. Now, you may wonder why we've got point totals that don't make any sense. The NHL takes the 3 top teams in each division. 2 plays 3. The 1 will take on a wild card. So the top 8 are the numbers that are important, meaning that the Preds are 7 points out of the 8th and last spot. Guy, other than the fact that they have played less games than Minnesota, I was really hard-pressed to buy David Poyle's explanation on Nashville radio that they're in the gray area. I
don't think they're
buy it.
I think the gray area became black after Ron Johansson walked out last night with the walking brace on his right foot, and now according to Elliot Freeman, he's having surgery today on it. So I think that pretty much turns it from a gray area to a black area.
Which also, in my mind, eliminates any chance of him being part of any trading.
No, he won't be. And I think it'd be tough to trade him his contract anyway. Matthias Ekholm's name is someone that keeps on coming up. He's a top 4 defenseman, and everybody's looking for defensemen. And, so his name comes up a lot. So people are getting a little crazy. Say you see Saros might go because you're going to get a boatload of people, prospects, and even a veteran or two for Saros. And so he's not. I think the only two that really are off limits are Forsberg and Yossi. Phil Forsberg and Roman Yossi. I think they're off limits. But everybody else, I think, is could be considered. And I think that Poyle said that after this past weekend he would decide whether he was going to be a seller or not. But I think now he's backing off on that a little bit. So I don't know. It's they've. March 3rd is the deadline, and a lot of teams are going ahead and making moves now. So I think if you wait till the deadline, you might have cut yourself out of a lot of potential teams that might want your players. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Okay, let me try this one on you. We're both season ticket holders, so we're there a lot. Mm-hmm. We see what it is we see. I believe that the only way to get this thing back in the next couple of years is to consider, and I certainly don't really deep down have any desire for this, but they don't have enough tradable stuff that they can just automatically say, no, we're not trading UC, we're not trading Roman Yossi. Guy, don't they have to explore every option?
Well, I think they do, and I think Poyle's sending a lot of feelers out saying, "What can I get for this guy? What can I get for this guy?" But Ekholm's name's the one that keeps on echoing back. Is the one that everybody keeps on looking at right now. I would be really surprised if Forsberg or Yossi goes. And I'd be surprised if Saros goes. But they got Askarov down in Milwaukee, who's had a good season, and he's expected to be the heir apparent goaltender. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there, but I don't know. I don't see that happening. I really don't. But Poyle doesn't like to call. He wants to call it he doesn't like to say rebuild or reset or whatever. But this is not a very exciting team. This team plays good defense. You got a great goaltender as part of that good defense. And with great defense, and you don't have any offense. You just don't have the offense, and that's been that way for a while. And they've lived off the goaltending with Pekka Rinne, now Jussi Saros. They've lived off their strong defensemen, but offensively they just haven't had it. And the big names are not coming up this year. They're not doing well. Matt Duchene last night for 65 minutes has one shot, no points. He does win the shootout. Well, great. That's the only time people knew he was on the ice was when he won the shootout, because they sure didn't know about him the first 65 minutes of the game because he was doing nothing. And you got to have players like that playing strong, and that didn't happen.
So, Guy, to me, there are a couple of things that have gone on here. Number one, the team doesn't appear to be in real playoff contention.
No.
And then whatever night it was last week when Boston came to town, it was the biggest jailbreak that I have seen of visiting fans since the old Blackhawk days. And it was really sad to watch that.
Yeah, the Boston's always been a strong program. I have to admit, I've always been kind of a Boston fan from the old days. And when I first started watching hockey, Boston's got a mystique about it. And, so I wasn't surprised to see that. I've been surprised at some of the jerseys. A lot of the jerseys I've been seeing from other teams, but Boston didn't surprise me that much. It's and it was a bloodbath, which I think on the show they predicted it was going to be. I think the Coyotes game was what most disappointing was. They got to play the Coyotes coming up. They play San Jose and they play the Coyotes at home. On the road. And I think that losing that game 4-2. The Coyotes have played great. They've been playing really great hockey. I think they're in the running for the first pick in the draft. They're playing like they're going for the playoffs, and so they're playing hot right now. And so I don't with Vancouver out of the picture, and you give them 2 goals in the last minute and half, 7 seconds or something like that. And there's 2 little tap-in goals, which were hard for Saros to defend against, and makes it a 4-4 game. And Vancouver's an interesting team. They're not winning a lot, but you cannot count them out. They give up a lot of goals and they score a lot of goals. So they don't do a lot of 2-1 games. So it was kind of the way that game ended, or the number of goals scored was kind of predictable from that standpoint.
Let me stop you here on this. I want to see what you think here. I hear Ekholm's name, you do a bunch. But let's face it, trading Matthias Ekholm for whatever they get in return, that is not going to suddenly be the magic and boom, they're back. So I go back to what I brought up earlier with Saros.
I think
if they allowed him on the market, what is realistic to get back?
Well, I think you've got at least maybe 2 or 3 first-round picks, and probably a second-rounder, and probably an established player or 2, a good prospect, and probably an established player. It would be a truckload of people that you would get in there from that standpoint. You could really clean up. And right now, this draft, I mentioned this before on the show, this might be one of the deepest drafts, if not the deepest draft in quite some time. And it's heavy on forwards, skilled forwards, which is what the Predators need. St. Louis is in the division. St. Louis already has 3 first-round picks in this draft because of the trades they have made, and they've said they gave the ghost a while back. And so so I would say there's a chance to get first-round picks for this year, next year, and the next year, maybe a second-round pick as well, and possibly an established player as well as a good prospect. I think they can pretty much name what they want from him.
Watson?
Goaltending in playoffs, goaltending makes the difference.
Watson, say hello to Guy.
Hey, Guy.
Appreciate all the kind words about the SIDs. Thank you.
There you go.
As an old SID, I thank you for that.
Wow.
Were we fair? Were we
Yes.
Were we right on track with it?
Yes, you were. I was very pleased. I handled it really well. So that's what we do. That's what we did. Well, I did anyway. So mostly you have to control all that. It's hard to do.
Did you ever remember any situation like Alabama's dealing with before?
Oh, nothing like that. No, thank goodness. No. No, most of ours was coaching situations leaking out and that type of thing. But no, never anything that, thank goodness, never anything like that. So
no, we don't wish that on anybody.
No, absolutely not.
Guy, is this not maybe the injury today you're talking about with Duchesne? Is this not
with Johansson?
Not be kind of laying it in. Huh?
Johansson.
I meant Johansson. Did I say Duchesne? With Johansson, does this not make it to where now it makes it a little easier on the decision? We lose an important scorer, even though he hasn't been a great scorer, but we lose an important scorer. Does this now say, well, we've got to turn this over and go for it now?
I think they have to say that. Especially if they lose one of these 2 games on the road. San Jose's horrible. Arizona's playing well, but Arizona's got a losing record. So if they can't win those 2 games on the road, they definitely have to pack it in. I think that's maybe what Poyle's waiting on. I don't know. Maybe he's waiting to see if they win those 2 games and pick up 4 points, because everybody else is knocking each other off a little bit in the division. Dallas is having trouble scoring goals of late, and they've had trouble scoring goals all year. And so that's going to show up a little bit more. But the Avalanche is playing strong. The Wild's been up and down. So the division's not – there's still a chance maybe but it's a slim chance. I think somebody came out the other day. Actually, after the last night's game, said that they had maybe a 10% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
But now one year, and I forget which year it was, they were given a 1% chance of making it, and they made it. So, you just don't know. Was it 15? I think 15 games left. So, we're going to see what happens.
How many games left do you think?
I think 15. I'm just off. I'm not really sure about that.
Okay. I thought it was more than that. I'll look it up.
I think 15 home games. I don't know, but it's probably 15. Yeah, check it out. It's 15 to 18 games left, I think.
I mean, Guy, tell me if you're those guys, general manager, and making these decisions. I mean, how long do you hang around 500 before you just go for it? Well, that's what I wonder. They've been. This is where they've been since the big year. Mm-hmm. We've been right here every single year. We're about the same spot. And when is it that you give your fans some hope and really go for it more? I know they tried that when Duchesne and Johansson were brought in. I know that. And it just hadn't worked. So isn't it about time, or do you go another year hanging around this 500 mode? Because we're what, 27, 22? I mean, we're hanging right around that 500 mode. And I don't know. I just wonder how much longer you do this, and the fans will accept it. They got to be sitting there saying, how long are our fans going to accept us hanging where we're hanging?
I think the fans are getting very unhappy. I think the fans are getting very, very unhappy from what I hear from games and stuff. I think people are getting frustrated. I think you have to go ahead and decide, we're going to have to rebuild, reset, however David Ploy wants to call it. But they're going to have to make some changes. This core team is not winning consistently and not winning enough to make a big difference. They're not an exciting team to watch for the most part. And that's part of having fans in the seats. They're not, because they just don't score goals like that. And so they've got to do some revamping. They've got to get faster and more skilled in the forward spots. And that's a big thing they've got to do, because everybody else is passing them by with the speed situation. I mean, you see that most teams that come in there now. And
hey, Watson, 27 games left.
27 games. Wow, I was way off. I thought it was like 15 home games, I guess I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they still got plenty of time to get in. But even getting in is, I think the fans, when they tasted what they tasted a few years back, I'm not sure they are happy with this just getting in anymore.
They're not. They're not happy.
I wouldn't be.
They're not happy. And for a team to get in the playoffs, the deeper you go, the more money your team makes. And so,
can you? I'm putting you on the spot. It's not fair, but what the heck? I'm doing it to you. So.
We're paying him big bucks.
Can you fix this team with a few moves, or have you got to completely just overhaul this thing? Is there a few moves in them to win another 10 games somewhere more than they're winning?
I don't think you move up anybody that's going to make that big a difference. I hear Michael McCarron's going to come over and take Johansson's place, but he's not going. I mean, he's going to fill in without pretty respectably probably, but he's not going to turn them around, make a difference for them. They've got to. A lot of the younger players are showing some signs of being good, and they need to put. They just need to work the puzzle as far as finding out. They just need to find a all-out scorer, and everybody wants one of those. So they're hard to find. They need to find somebody who's going to be a dominating scorer for them that kind of leads the way for the rest of the offense to go. I mean, they haven't had that, and they don't have it, and that's the thing they've got to do. I mean, I love hockey and I love the Predators are here, but I mean, I think you're right. A lot of fans are going like, all right, we make the playoffs in the first round, big deal, and we get beat. I think that's what a lot of people are looking at.
And my last thing that I got back to you, George, would be, is our young goalie good enough to be our next guy, to where we could let Soros and bring in some talented kids? Is our young goalie good enough to be that guy? If he is, I'm not sure that's where we're sitting.
That's the question.
Where we're sitting, I wonder if that's not, we're giving up maybe one of the best goalies, but future-wise, if we're really going to go for this thing, that might be the move.
Well, Askarov is number one draft pick a couple years ago. He's had a good year down in Milwaukee. I think he was an all-star down there. He didn't do well when he was up here that one game or so, but I mean, that's expected to some extent. So, but I think that I think he would, he would probably have some growing pains, but this team's going to probably have some growing pains for a couple of years if they make a lot of changes. But at least it'll be going along in the right way. I look at the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres were down to almost nothing a couple of years ago, and they started rebuilding and got a couple of big players in, that type of thing, and now they're almost in the playoffs right now, and have become a real darling in the Eastern Conference. But as far as people wanting them to make the playoffs, so you don't have to spend 4, 5, 6 years waddling around waiting to come back. I think you can make the right choices and right changes, and within two years or so, be ready to really compete again.
Gee, really appreciate, as always, your insights. By the way, looking forward to Saturday. You and I'll talk.
You guys tell me how to get you the ticket. I got to get the ticket to you.
Well, isn't it just a matter of meeting up with you?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay.
For the fourth time?
I'll give you a holler.
Sounds good. I'll be around Saturday. Sounds good. Look forward. Yeah, I'd like to ride with you. It'd be a good, nice ride over there. So
let's do it.
Talk to us. So.
Mark McGee joining us. We'll go to the break, and when we come back, there are college football rule changes that you need to know about. We'll get Watson in on this as well. Let the band strike up.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Well, you hear that in just about every college football stadium at some point during a game, before or after, whatever the case. And let me do the math. March, April, May, June, July. We're 6 months away from college football.
And we're talking about it.
Yes, we are. So the rule changes, I guess, have come out. And I'm going to want to get Watson to talk a little bit about this. The first one obviously is aimed at these ridiculous icing of kickers.
Mm-hmm.
So Watson, give me a thought or two there.
Get rid of it. Any way to speed up the game. They got to speed up the game, George. College football's dealing with the same issue baseball deals with. Games are too long. Players are playing too many plays. The safety of the player, we're watching too many games where in the fourth quarters we're seeing wore-out football players, and that's dangerous. And so, and they've got to get these games shorter into these windows for television. And honestly, that's the big piece. It's not just the safety of the players. It's to get these windows back to where it doesn't mess up all of the money that's coming in through these sponsors and advertisers.
Billy, where he's going with that, for instance, the ESPNs of the world who go back to back to back to back on a Saturday, they're trying to allot 3 hours and 30 minutes right now. And we all know that they end up,
every Saturday it's pushed back.
Yeah. And so that's the big one. You'd love to say they're worried about safety. They're not. It's about television.
Because passionate fans, they want to see kickoff on their TV. They don't want to have to go to ESPN News or, go online. I mean,
or Pravda.
Yeah, or Stadium.
The Soviet news agency TASS will carry the first
nobody
2 minutes.
Wants to go through that in basketball. Watson, you said it. They're dealing with the same stuff as well. I mean,
NFL has already dealt with this and tried to shorten their game for the exact same reasons. The exact same reasons. And right now, I think the average number of snaps in college football is in the low 80s, 80, 81. And I know I'm right about that. And then the average number of snaps, I think, is in the 50s for the NFL. So the NFL has already dealt with this. They're playing a lot fewer snaps than college players are.
Number 2 surprised me, Billy, because I don't really see that as the issue.
It's one play. I think they just threw in a bunch of ways to try to knock down time, George, and they just threw this in there. But this one's not going to knock down. It's one play, and how often does it happen? On the last play of a quarter, there's a penalty. So this one's common sense too. I never understood that anyway. Just change quarters and move on. I didn't understand that. So, yeah, this one makes a whole lot of sense to me.
This third one is where it gets interesting. The clock runs after first downs, except inside of 2 minutes and a half. And then also with the fourth one, runs on incompletions once the ball is spotted. Now, these aren't in effect yet, but Watson, what do you think about the clock running after first downs and incompletions?
I love it. Shorten the game. They're also knowing they're going to be playing more. As soon as this playoff system puts into play, you're playing more games and you're adding more games on the kids. So I'm thinking in a coach way, protect these kids better and don't have these long games. And I just think this is smart. They're already doing this, guys, so this shouldn't be that big a deal. They do it on out of bounds now. Ball goes out of bounds. As soon as you get the ball back and secure it and start to move it back to the line of scrimmage, I'm talking about the officials, they start the clock, except in 2 minutes. When it gets to 2 minutes, the clock stops when you go out of bounds, right? So, I mean, this to me is just adding on to what they got, and it's very smart to me to do this. And I hadn't heard a bunch of fight on this one. The last one now I've heard a little more fight over within the coaches, that they don't feel like the clock should start after an incomplete pass at a certain time. And I do. I just think we've got to find a way. These fast-paced offenses that you're running in college, you don't see in the NFL. They say the reason is they do it periodically, but they don't do it completely like Tennessee and some of these offenses do. And the pace and the number of plays, the pace, I've done it. I've ran this pace. I went and studied Oregon hard, copied them in some of this, and I'm telling you, it works. It wears you out. And if you're moving the ball and you're going fast, I can remember, George, the year we won the OVC, we were unbelievably fast, probably in the Tennessee mode. And And I can remember vividly in fourth quarters defenses that couldn't get off their knees to get up to take the next play. And so that's not good. That is not good to me. That's dangerous. And then you throw overtimes on top of it. It's just not good. So I'm 100% behind all of it. I will tell you the coaches have fought more than the one of that four they fought the most is the incomplete pass one.
We welcome Nick Saban to the show. He's asking.
Hi, Nick. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah. He's asking the official, why are you turning down my invitation for dinner?
I don't think that's what he's asking, but that's
no,
good.
I don't think it is either.
Oh,
Watson, here is Billy. Put that back up there again. The rules changes, because I'm disappointed that this ridiculous, offensive lineman pushing the pile 18 yards extra, that needs to go out of the game of football.
Yes, and I don't know why I think you change rules. I believe I'm right about this. It used to be this way. You change rules every 2 years. You have a committee every 2 years. If you want to change something, it's after you go 2 years on what you got, and then you look at it again in 2 years. So it must be that we're in that change time. Why in the world they don't put that one up there?
Oh.
It's beyond me. They're going to hurt somebody. It don't even look like football. It honestly looks like what? Rugby?
Yeah.
In rugby, the one where everybody pushes everybody all over the field. I mean, it don't look like football to me. I've never understood why they put that in. And I was told it was off of a little niche in the rule that when you can't pull a guy forward, but there's nothing in the rule that says you can't push him from behind. Put something in the rule.
Yeah, it's dumb.
I mean, to let it go and a coach figures this out, and coaches figure things out off of rules. So anyway, but the bottom one, I don't think it's going to be as much as the one above it. The first down thing, I think will shorten the game. The one where you bring it back and you spot it and the clock starts again. These fast-paced teams are snapping the ball as soon as the clock starts. So, I mean, I don't know that one is going to have the effect the one up above it does. You stop the clock on every first down. That's a lot of stopping a clock in college football. Somebody making 20, 25 first downs in a game. Think about all the clock stops you got. And so that one I think will really make a difference right there.
Billy, what was the story that came out of CBS Sports earlier today that I just shook my head going, really?
Yeah, so Anthony Richardson, Watson, they've got Anthony Richardson going #1 overall in the draft. CBS Sports does.
What am I missing there?
Guys, this is what's hard for me this year. And you all, please tell me if I'm wrong. I want to hear it because I wonder if I'm right. I see two guys that are loaded with ability, just pure big, strong, fast. And that's the kid at Kentucky and the kid at Florida. But they didn't perform great.
Right.
They're loaded with ability, but they didn't perform great. The two that performed great are the smaller, more frail guys that you wonder if they can make it.
You're talking Bryce Young and CJ Stroud.
Yes.
Okay.
So to me, I don't see that Josh Allen this year. I go back to Tua. I think Tua hurts Bryce a little bit because Tua was just as successful as Bryce. And he did get hurt. Bryce missed some games, not as bad as Tua, but Tua's been hurt. He's smaller and he's been hurt. He's been hurt through a lot of his career, guys. When he plays, Tua's been pretty good, but he doesn't play a lot from different injuries. So I don't know that I see the, quote, not miss guy in this year's class. And do you all see that? Because I hadn't heard anybody say that. I'm hearing people say this is a great quarterback class, but I just don't see he's a non-miss. There's no way. I don't see the Joe Burrow sitting there, guys. I don't see it.
I think the closest would be Bryce Young, if anybody.
But he's 5'11", and he's small. And will he stay healthy? Will he stay healthy? He and CJ Stroud, you can't play any better than those two did. They performed like NFL guys, but you worry about health and keeping them healthy. And the other two guys, big, strong, fast, run, throw bullets. Both of those two guys can do that, but they didn't perform up to what I call an NFL performance.
Okay.
Would you all agree with that?
Well, let me go there.
Okay.
Let's start with Will Levis. Levis had two things to me working against him. He had an offensive line that got him killed. He doesn't have a ton of mobility. And the second thing, he had an injury that really made, I think it was a foot deal.
I agree.
So when he goes to the combine.
And he wasn't in a great offense.
No.
Anyway.
And so they're going to try to figure out at the combine what is and what isn't about Will Levis. Because he's the prototypical, what is he, 6'4", 6'5"?
He's Josh Allen build.
Yeah.
He'll run good. He'll run solid when he runs, and he's got a gun.
Now, Anthony Richardson, to me, is just an electric athlete who doesn't have a lot of quarterback skills.
He's got a gun, and some of the throws he made, I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree. But I saw some great throws. Great throws. I mean, very few people could make some of the throws I saw him throw this year and even the year before. But the consistency, not there. And that's huge in the NFL, guys. You've got to be consistent. You can't have those off throws in the NFL. You're not going to last long because those targets are there. There's not a lot of room in those targets to throw that ball in like there is college. It's a different world. And I saw Levis throw balls into crowds, interceptions, that I went, did he throw that? I remember in games this year, in SEC games, where I go, my gracious, did he let that ball go into that? So when you're not performing, it scares me. If you're not performing great on the college level, what all of a sudden is going to turn you around and make you perform on the NFL level? Are you saying that the kid wasn't coached very well? I don't care if you're not on a talented team, and I don't care if you're not on a very good offense. You don't throw balls into crowds if you're a great quarterback. You just don't take them and throw them right to people. And I thought I saw Will do that this year. Maybe he felt it and he forced things. He gets on a good team. That's why I think it's a hard call on which one I'd take.
Okay.
If those four guys go in the first four picks, how would you rank them? Where would you take them? That's to me, I don't have one that I just say, here's my number one.
Well, let me try this one on you, Watson. I believe, have no proof of this, Chicago's going to stick with Justin Fields, and they're going to trade down because they can get an absolute buttload of something for that pick. Mm-hmm. Because there are too many teams in the league that need a quarterback that are willing to ignore your thought that they're frail, they're this, they're that, and they're going to say, "Give me Bryce Young. I'm willing to make that." That's what I think is going to happen. What do you think?
I think Bryce Young will go one, all totally off of performance. The kid has had pressure on him, has made big plays in heated moments, has done a lot of plays just not by design. He's a winner. We all know he's a winner. And I still say Stroud goes too. I think they're going to take the performance guys over the potential guys. I still think those two go 1 and 2 in the draft. And if you're the Bears, which one of these four is just better than Justin Fields?
Bryce Young, I think, potentially. I mean, Bryce.
Well, I think possibly Stroud too. They both throw better than Justin Fields. Wouldn't you say? They're not big. They don't run like he does. They don't make as many feet. Oh, they make plays with their feet. They're just not runners.
Do you think there's a big market for Justin Fields?
I think Justin Fields I think he got a lot better this year. I haven't given up on Justin Fields. I still think he's got a chance to be a really good player in the NFL. Big market like a Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or something. No, but 2 or 3 teams that might be interested in trading for him. Yeah, I do.
This is what.
Where do you put him to Derek Carr? Where do you put him to Derek Carr?
Say that question again.
Where do you place him with Derek Carr?
Well, Derek Carr is nowhere near
Derek Carr than Justin Fields.
He's nowhere near the athlete.
Yeah, running skill. He's nowhere near that.
No, but I'm just saying it's in people that would want him. Is there a whole lot more people wanting Derek Carr than Justin Fields, you think?
Well, I think they believe
they got to trade for Justin Fields now. They don't get Justin Fields like they can get Derek Carr. That makes a big difference.
But I think they believe that they know what Derek Carr is, and they're not as sure about Justin Fields. Is this as far as it's going? Is there more upside coming? That's what they got to decide.
I agree.
It
and
ain't
that's
easy.
a little bit of it's exactly kind of where I put Richardson and Levis. Is there more to them than we got to see? Are they going to play a lot better than they played in college? Are they going to get a lot more consistent and not make those mistakes? Guys, NFL, you get a lot fewer possessions than you do in college. You can't mess them up when you get them.
Right.
We saw it happen with us with the Titans, with Ryan Tannehill in that one game we got beat first round of the playoffs at home. You can't screw it up. You cannot. And I just wonder if these kids can stop turning the ball over and missing open people like I've seen them do this year. And I see great talent in both of them. I'm trying my best not to put them down because I think they're the most two talented guys in the draft, pure talent in the draft, but they haven't performed like the other two guys in front of them. And I think the other two guys are going to go in front of them in the draft.
Watson, is there a quarterback problem in football today at the high school, college level? Just kind of a lack of, like, for the NFL, if you're an NFL scout, are you looking at this class saying, what am I working with here? There's maybe two guys that I really like.
I think what's changed for these scouts, it's a different style of quarterback. It's what they're having to judge now, Billy. Look at who's the one drop back dude that's way up there, and yet he didn't have a great year in performance. Will Levis. There ain't a bunch of those guys out there. They're all more in a Richardson mode. They're all more in a young mode, or they're athletic. They use their feet. They make a lot of plays with their athleticism. We don't see Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath after he hurt that knee, and the guy we just talked about with the Rams. Come on, help me. The one that just was in the
Kurt Warner.
Yeah, Kurt Warner. He couldn't move. Kurt wasn't a move around guy at all. Man, did he make plays. How many Kurt Warners are out there now? We don't see them anymore. They're all more in the Stroud, Bryce Young type mode, and that's what they're having to adjust how they judge these guys because they're just not seeing the same style of guy they used to pick.
Here's the other thing, Watson. See if you buy this. In the old days, it was great if you had a great quarterback. You know, good for you. But you could win with Trent Dilfer, game manager. Today, if you don't have a quarterback, you are screwed.
Great point.
Period.
Great point. Great point. Your quarterback has to make plays to win games in college football. And I say even more so in NFL football. You got to make plays. You can't be a guy that just directs the traffic and does this and does that. You got to make plays yourself. The NFL makes it to where the quarterback has to make plays, man. And the other one that we never talk about that I can't get out of my mind is Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker made every play
out of your mind.
Hendon Hooker made every play Bryce Young made till he got hurt, guys. Did he or did he not?
Oh, absolutely. Look,
he made every play Bryce Young made. He made every play C.J. Stroud made. Why is he not being talked more? I think because of health. He's just not healthy yet. But I still say he's going to go higher than everybody thinks he is.
And I think you're right, Watson. There was a report out that he's got interest from about 5 different teams right now. Las Vegas, Carolina. I forget who the other teams were, but there's some teams showing interest.
He's the one you might get that could match the Bryce Youngs and C.J. Strouds, and yet you get him late second, early third. Whoo, what a difference that is.
And I think, Watson, if you're a team, an organization struggling for an identity, why not try to take Hendon Hooker, talk to Josh Heupel, say, hey, we've got Hooker. What do we do with him? How do we basically build what you built at Tennessee. I know that's not easy, but basically saying, well, let's take Hooker and try to recreate a little bit what he did at Tennessee. You got to wonder if somebody's looking at that saying,
I think the smart guys, Billy, do that. They do that. I promise you that Andy Reid went to the different coaches because he had different ones that Patrick Mahomes had and said, what does he do best? What did you find that he really likes? What does he struggle with a little bit? Behind the scenes after the draft. You don't do that for the draft because the coach is not going to tell you the negatives about a kid. It's not going to. I would never do that. Right. I would never hurt a kid to that point. I wouldn't lie, but I just wouldn't tell everything.
Mm-hmm.
But because there's always things that a kid, and I've had first rounders, and there's always things that kids are really good at, and some things, Billy, they're just not as good at. But I think NFL coaches do that after they draft them. I think they do.
Okay, last thing, and then we'll go to the break. You made a really interesting point about Tua and his, let's face it, he's been brittle. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's his fault. I'm just saying it's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact.
And you think that's hurting Bryce Young. Okay, is Jalen Hurts helping Bryce Young?
No, because he's a complete different looking player and athlete. He does different things than Bryce Young does. Tua and Bryce were more the same type of guys to me in looks and in stature, in the way they threw the ball, all the plays that Tua made. Don't forget, Tua now made plays just like Bryce. I mean, great player. And to me, Jalen's more in the bigger Anthony Richardson type look. So I don't think he would have any effect. I'm not saying it's because they were at Alabama. I'm saying it's because of the stature of both of them. And this will be the smaller ones that have been drafted. I mean, I'm hearing Bryce is hardly 5'11". I don't know if I can't wait.
It's a Doug Flutie kind of deal.
Yeah, not that small, but yes. And so was Tua. And it's not that you can't make plays because it's obvious Tua has made a bunch of plays. But can you stay healthy? Moving around and the way you got to play football to win for your team, can you do that and stay healthy with these big bodies that are faster? And all of them are fast chasing you. It ain't one or two fast chasing you. Everybody on that field can catch you. And when they catch you, it hurts. They're bigger. They're faster. They're stronger. They're the best of the best. They're the best of – how many college football teams are there? Over 100 FBS?
130 something.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best of the best you're playing against now. It ain't just one or two on each team. And you've been in the SEC. You've played against the best, but it's still not just loaded top to bottom with great NFL players.
And look at the NFL nowadays, the great quarterbacks in the NFL. Are any of them 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet right now?
Drew Brees.
Right, no, active right now.
Was the
Fran Tarkenton was. Bart Starr was. I know Bart before he passed. I got to know him well. He's from I was there in Birmingham with him. Bart's probably 5'10".
But playing today.
But Drew Brees would be the poster child.
Right, but there's nobody today. I mean, active right now. So that's the thing against Bryce Young, which is tough because, I think he can do it, but it hasn't been done in the past several years. The guys that have, Allen, Mahomes, even Mahomes is 6'4".
And no, he's not that tall. He's not that tall. I'd say Patrick's a little over 6'2"-ish, right in there.
6'2", 6'3".
But that's a big difference in 5'11".
Right.
And I'm 6'2", and so 5'11" guy. I mean, that's. But I'm telling you, I don't have any issue. I'd bet my house that Bryce Young goes and makes plays in the NFL. I think he's going to be a great player. Will he stay healthy? That's the piece to me. Will he stay healthy? I mean, look at Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, some of these guys, and then they they even get banged around, but they don't get hurt like the smaller guys do, man.
I'm sorry. I'm 5'11". I could have been 6'8". I wasn't going to be an NFL quarterback.
Well, no, height was not your issue. We will go there.
No, there were some others. Stay tuned. When we come back, I don't care what Watson says. I'm going to make you some money.
Oh, boy, we're getting cocky.
Yes, we are.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Welcome back. Final segment on a Wednesday. It's just about time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers that you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to their website. That's bartdurham.com. All right, Watson, let's check out what happened last night for George. Texas A&M won. He won the A&M bet, but Missouri didn't cover.
Yeah.
That was an overtime game.
I know.
It was a good one.
Yeah. Mississippi State's gotten better. That front line is starting to give people trouble. They closed the regular season at Vandy.
Huge game.
And there's a chance that it is an enormous game with a lot of stuff on the line. So, Watson, I'm going with two games tonight that I'm just going to tell you I feel very strongly about. Now, let's start down in Baton Rouge.
On Mardi
Gras.
Yeah. Why is Vandy only a 2.5-point favorite? Oh, you can take all the little snipes you want at me. I'm hearing all of it. Your attitude is poor. You need to clean it up. You know, hell, if it was that easy, everybody'd go out and bet it.
I think everybody will go out and bet this.
They might. Here's the question. What does Vegas know that I don't know here? This number should be more 5.5 to 6. This is an LSU team that got ripped at home by South Carolina, for God's sakes.
They've lost 14 in a row.
Yeah. So what is it that Vegas knows? I don't think they know anything here. I think they have been slow to adjust to Vandy. Vandy was a 3.5-point dog Saturday at home against Auburn. I thought that was a little too much. This, you got to go Vandy. Until they give you some reason not to. This feels like a gift. And then there's the second one. This one's not as easy, but here goes. No Colin Castleton for Florida. Sheboy goes nuts. He gave Sheboy fits in game number 1. He ain't there. Florida hadn't got any answers for Sheboy. Here's the other thing. Kentucky's supporting cast is better than Florida's. Now, they don't always play like it, but you would hope that Kentucky realizes the seriousness of where it is now and that they just flat out win and they cover.
That's the only danger with Kentucky. You never know what Kentucky team's going to show up.
You don't ever know what you're getting.
No. But Vandy, that's going to hit.
Watson, how do you feel?
I think you got two good bets, bud. I think you're in good shape with both of them. Yep.
We're making people money tonight.
Oh, you've been making people money lately, so I can see the arrogance in your face. I spot it. I see the cockiness. So Believe me, enjoy every minute of it because you're swimming in it right now, having a blast. So.
What's the record, Billy?
Put
that up there. Put that back up there.
121 and 16.
122 and 16.
Or 22, my bad.
Yeah, you don't get that by being chopped liver. Watson?
Where does he get this, Watson?
I told you he's the best front runner I've ever known in my life.
Where does he come off acting like this?
It's George. I mean, he's just the greatest front runner of all time. Put him right at the top.
Liver.
Unbelievable.
Watson, tomorrow on the show, we will go outside of these hallowed studios and we will broadcast from the Franklin Marriott, site of tomorrow night's National Football Foundation yearly dinner, which you've been a part of for years. I've been a part of it for years. We're thrilled to be able to do this.
Fantastic. Glad to hear that. That's a great event. Not enough people know about that event. That's honoring those high school kids, bringing people back and giving them awards that have been big throughout our state. It's a great event, George. Not enough people know it.
Yeah, you're right. Excited to do that. See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Billy?
George?
Behave.
You going to be wearing a freebie tomorrow?
No, I'll be on the air in a tux. You know why? Because I'm going to have them help me. I have no idea how to make a tux work, and I admit it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Should be interesting.
It should be.